Welcome to the woods. Chickens joining in as usual. Quite a nice day today. Just finished that bank holiday. I was over in Wales, 10 miles inland from Swansea, halfway up a mountain. It was quite an amazing day, to be honest. I spent it with a group of people who are planning on buying some land. Most of them are members of the Woodlander Initiative, and how that's taken off. We've raised in excess of £85,000 in a few short months. And these things happen when people work together, when people put aside petty differences and recognise that we've got something in common, that we understand the situation we're facing. Some of us have been knocking around for a few years. If you're like me, you remember the smaller political parties and the activists and the pressure groups, and they never really got anywhere. The system was too strong to overcome. It was a self-sustaining system that looked after itself and ensured no one else got near those levers of power. And there's always been a lot of infighting, a lot of bickering, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of splinter groups, a lot of people with big egos who want to run the show. And for all of those reasons, we never really got anywhere. But things are changing. As much as what's happened in the last 3 years has been pretty horrendous, the eradication of small businesses, and along with that people's lives, a forced medical procedure that has caused more harm than most illnesses cause. A massive scrape of data and information globally, and I think we've seen as well the mask come off. I don't think the system's pretending to be something it isn't anymore. It always did pretend that it had your best interests at heart, that it was there to look after you. And I think we're seeing now that they're not pretending anymore. They may throw you a few platitudes, as I mentioned in my last video, and then they'll carry on doing exactly what they want to do. And none of it is in our best interest. And the good thing is that a lot of people have woken up to that fact, that your government, or those in control of your government, really don't have your best interests at heart. And it's nice to see different groups of people coming together, putting aside their petty differences and making a difference. The group of residents in Llanelli aren't members of political organisations, aren't tin foil hat wearing truthers. They're just normal people like you and me who have suddenly been faced with their government doing something that they've expressly told them they don't want to happen. They've suddenly realised that they're not living in a democracy. And they're not happy. And the more people that wake up, the more people we talk to, the bigger, the stronger we get. And then things start to happen, because we start to pull in the same direction. So there I was on Sunday, up a mountain, looking out across the views. Between two other mountains there's the sea, with a group of people from every different walk of life. People in their 20s, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s and 60s. Male, female, couples, single people. All getting on. No one airing their petty differences. Just knowing that they've got a goal that they can achieve if they work together. Normal people like you and me. It's time that a lot of us who have been knocking around a few years understood that those petty differences need to be put aside. And we need to be able to work with anyone who's pushing in the same direction. All too often, we throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'll give you a prime example. In the last few years, the Labour Party, I'm not a massive fan, kind of went from New Labour back to old Labour, and now switched to New Labour again. And there's no difference between New Labour and the Conservatives. It's one of those things, isn't it? We know they're both arse cheeks of the same arsehole. Excuse my French. When it switched back to old Labour, and what was the old guy's name? I forget his name now. He's not that important, but anyway, most of his ideas were complete left-wing crank. Would do no good for the country and no good for individuals. But that doesn't mean you have to dismiss everything that he says or his party says. I remember when he was electioneering, Jeremy Corbyn, that's the old geezer. When he was electioneering, he was coming up with all these ideas, and they were mostly batshit crazy. And then he said he'd like to set up a national pharmaceutical industry and make these drugs ourselves, so that when we sold them to the NHS, it would be 2p a tablet and not £20 a tablet. And he spoke about the savings that would pass on. And he's right. And that's actually a good idea. And I can definitely see that that's maybe one of the reasons he's not around anymore. Big Pharma didn't much like that. And what I'm trying to say is, as much as most of what he was talking about and most of his ideas were running counter to mine, that doesn't mean I can discount everything he says. And we need to remember that. We need to remember that even the people we oppose can say some things that are right. And if they do, we need to admit it. We need to take those ideas. We need to maybe change some of our opinions. We need to adapt to the way things are going to be. And I'm not saying we need to give up our values, our core belief systems, but we need to understand that by alienating lots and lots of other people, we stay small, we stay insignificant. You stand a much better chance of moving forward by embracing different groups with slightly different ideas, by educating them, by showing them the truth, by letting them come to the conclusion themselves instead of trying to ram it down their throat. People are waking up slowly. I wasn't born the way I am now. My ideas have changed over the years. Not much, given, but they have. A lot of people who know me will say that I'm a lot calmer. I'm a lot more mellow than I used to be. And they're right. I was a very, very angry young man. I saw the problems around me and desperately wanted to change them. It made me angry. And as you get a little older, it's not that anger goes away. It's that you start to understand more. You start to learn where to focus that anger, how to use it constructively, how to explain things to people in such a way that they don't feel like you're a nutcase. More and more people are coming over to the truth. That's a good thing. Because this system is desperate now. It's taking away your right to protest. It's taking away your ability to be heard online. It's taking away your bank accounts. And in the background, regardless of the little victories we win along the way, it plans on taking away your right to transport, to personal transport, to restricting the amount of times you can leave a certain area. And when I point this out in videos, I'm often met with comments below saying things like, well, if they're going to do that, what's the point in buying a piece of land if I can't get there? That way of thinking means that you've already given up. Well, if they say I can't do it, then I'm just not going to do it. If they tell me I can only go to the shop on Sunday, then I will only go to the shop on Sunday. And what I'm telling you now is, we need to put things in place today, right now, so that if and when that time comes that they start cracking down, that we have somewhere to go. I can't live confined in a 15-minute area. I won't live in a 15-minute area. I will not let them take my transport. And if they stick fuel prices up, I'll find some way round it. I will not conform to what they want. And if they shut me out of society because of that, so be it. But you can only do that if you've got somewhere to go, somewhere to gather, somewhere to regroup, and somewhere to build again. Or you're going to give up. You're going to let them bend you over. And none of us want that. So yeah, they're going to try and make it really hard, really difficult in the coming years. There's even rumour that they're going to try another virus. I don't think it'll work. I really don't think it would work a second time round. So many people woke up during that first one, and their actions woke even more people up. But don't think for 1 minute that that's going to slow them down. Their end goal is still the same. They may have to take diversions. But you need to make up your mind. Do you want to live in the world that they're going to create? Because if you're happy with that, that's cool, that's fine. But it's not for me. And it's not for thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people in this country. And if they shut us out, so be it. We're bright enough, smart enough, and there's enough of us that there's nothing that we can't do for ourselves. So we'll build again, and we'll see which one looks the best. Anyway, you lot, I'm off. Still got stuff to do around here. It never ends, but it's all good, you know, it's authentic. Speak to you soon.